Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing, everyone? Sorry, I'm just trying to... Music is a little bit too loud for me. It's very aggressive. Hope you're doing all well today. Yeah, another impromptu stream. I was just like... I enjoyed the last one so much, I was like, I'll come back and do another one. So I hope you're doing well. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns. And this is Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs, where I go through an RPG that I find interesting, or it's come up on my feed, or something someone has recommended to me, and I just go through it and I say what I like about it, just read through the mechanics, because it's a way I hold accountability to myself, because I have way too many RPGs, and hopefully this is helpful for some other people as well. Hello, Liz X Campbell on Twitch. Hello. I was about to put on a podcast while I was cleaning my kitchen. Perfect timing. Oh, thank you, Liz X Campbell. I hope this is interesting for you. Yes, because you're the one that likes zombies, aren't you? So of course this would make perfect sense. Well, I hope the kitchen cleaning goes well. So this is what kind of I do. Usually take an hour and a half just to go through stuff. We usually go through quick starts or starter set stuff, so that you get a little taster of what kind of RPG we're going to do, or what is the RPG, rather than obviously just I don't know, putting all the content out there and worrying about whether or not it will get taken down. So far, so good. So today, I guess I'll check in. I'm doing okay today. I was a bit low energy earlier, and I was last night, as if people watching the stream did. But I then went to improv, and we had a really good improv session. It was mostly just experimental stuff, and I really enjoyed it. So I've come back buzzing, and then I was like, great, well, I'll do this, because I today I'm bearing the lead a little bit. Let me turn over to the other camera. We are looking at the Walking Dead universe role-playing game. This is the official RPG of The Walking Dead by none other than Free League. Obviously, massive fan of Free League in this house. We stan it, obviously. Free League, if you've been under a rock and you've not been to the Scandinavian lands recently, they are basically one of the biggest RPG companies that writing not only their own original content, such as technically, getting other RPGs out there. So Morkborg is a great example of that. They brought back Dragon's Bane, which is one of the Sweden's their equivalent of Dungeons & Dragons, which is a very loose way of putting it, but at least it's it's on the level of how influential it was in the the tabletop community in Scandinavia. But also they do IP RPGs. So the first one, I believe, was Alien. And then they've gone on Blade Runner, and then this is the latest offering, is The Walking Dead. On top of that, obviously, they've done stuff like Tales from the Loop, Things from the Floods, all sorts. So there's a whole range of games which uses their engine, which is the Year Zero engine, and then have a lot of stuff on top of that as well. And I'm going to be completely honest, I've never watched really much of The Walking Dead. Turn the music down, it's a little bit loud in my headphones. There's loads of people too. I'm in cleaning mode too. Hello, Detective. How are you doing? Marigold, high five, Detective Butts. Exactly. Love zombies. Hi, where? Oh god. Oh, Hamilton, lurking whilst working. I saw lurking whilst working. Aren't we all? Hamilton, I saw that you were thinking about getting a 5 guys, but there's a 20-minute queue, and you said no in the end, and I was like, weak. Well, hopefully I'm keeping you company on some late nights, whether you're cleaning or doing work. I hope everyone is okay. But yes, we're going to look at Walking Dead. And as I would say, I've read a long time ago, I read quite a number of the comics, and I'm going to try not to spoil anything, obviously, if you're new to Walking Dead stuff. And I watched a little bit of the first series, and I very much enjoyed it, but I've just not kept up with it at all. It's one of those things where everyone talks about how good it is. I played a bit of the Telltale games as well. Phenomenal, those Telltale games, but I know there's a little bit of an issue later on in terms of finishing it, because of various you know what happens in the video game industry. People try to rush things, there's not enough money, and then they fire people, so it's not a great time. But I will say, the bit I played of the Telltale game, I very much enjoyed. I also was devastated that I killed off a character in the first episode. That's not a spoiler. You will have to kill off one of the characters in order to proceed. And what you choose, as all Telltale games, it dictates the narrative. But I was so traumatized by doing that, I never played it. I never continued on the story. Anyway, enough of that. Yep, Telltale games are superb. I know, I played a little bit of the Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands tabletop Telltale games. Phenomenal. A Loaderbot is just my favourite character of all times. Shame about their worker exploitation. Exactly, Liz X Campbell. I completely agree with you. Why don't you just pay people and give them the stuff that they deserve because they worked really hard on something that's amazing. You know, well, who am I to say? I'm just like a normal human being. Anyway, so you can get this game out now. They had a massive Kickstarter for it. It was incredibly successful, and recently my own starter set and the core game arrived. Came out both in PDF and in person. I should actually go get it, shouldn't I? That, how professional am I? Let me go grab it. Much profesh, obviously. Let me go back to Big Fiona's Fiona cam. Big Fiona cam is this cam. So this is what the core book looks like. Very nice big book with obviously the iconic image on the top of it. And what's cool about it, there's some really nice imagery, like again some nice maps in there of northeast Georgia where it's set. Excuse me. And I know for a fact that you can play. There are character sheets for some of the characters in the TV show and the comics as well. But yeah, you can see it already. If I do, you probably can't tell it too much, but with the interior art design, it's a little bit grubby. That's what I really love. I remember a long time ago, I interviewed someone from Wizard of the Coast, whose name I've completely gone out of my head. I think not Kate Welch, but one of the interior art designers, and she talked about how it's so important to get like this art, like right, to get the feel of the book, get the vibes of the book of what you're looking at. So it's not only the interior art, but actually the actual layout and stuff as well. Like, look at that, really cool. Getting that cool page there. There's a really cool art in here, which is really good. And then the starter set, this hefty thing. Ooh, you get some character sheets in there. Actually, let's have a quick look, shall we? Let's have a quick look. Now, first of all, smells very good, isn't it? So there's two types of dice. Again, I'm sure we'll go into this. We open the rule book for the PDF. We have these black dice. I assume I like the base dice because on the 6 there's like a, again this is where the camera's not going to do it, but it's like a bullseye essentially with a little 6 to the side of it. And then on the other dice, there's I was like, I don't know. So yeah, so on the red dice, on the ones there is a handprint with a 1 on it, probably indicating failure. I've heard that this game is very similar to Alien, so you have that sort of stress mechanic going on, that idea of like, you put your attributes and skills into the sort of the base pool, so your normal sort of black, your black dark die, and then you roll stress or threat level, I believe it's called in this game, on these dice, and 6 is equal success, but if you roll a 1 on the threat level dice, well, bad things happen. So there you go. So I'll put them to one side for now, so we might look at them later. We also had, I actually made this together the other day, a threat level meter, which is quite exciting. Again, not sure how useful this will be. It goes up to 6, so 6 sounds really bad. But yeah, it's quite a nice little thing just to have on the table, perhaps somewhere sort of visual, which would be good. Then there is, what else have we got? All the stuff in here. So then we've got the GM screen, which I'll do my 90s boombox example. Quite cool. Oh, you can't see anything. Typical. But yeah, nice big image of someone holding an axe is always good, and then image on one side, and then you've got a grimy, very iconic, I guess. Looks good. Not too much detail, so compared to, I don't know. Again, is this Walking Dead? I don't know. Looks generic to me, perhaps. I don't know. And then we've got, it came with an art print of the cover, which you there. Don't know where I'll put that, but that's nice. Then we've got what I quite like in these. So you've got 2 separate books for the starter set rules. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. It's roughly about 40 pages. So we'll look at that today and read through those and get an idea of the idea of the rule set. And then we have this scenario called the Wolves Den Survival Mode Scenario, which is quite exciting. I love the hand. Look at the sort of inverted color schemes we've got. So the rules is black on red, and then you've got the red on black. Very cool. Hopefully should stand out a little bit. And the one thing I was going to quickly go on before we read a little bit about it is that in the starter set, obviously you get pre-generated characters. Oh, sorry. Let's look at the maps. Some maps as well. That's some nice top-down maps. The areas, presumably for the scenario as well, which would be quite cool if you can lay them out in front of the players in person, or if you've got the VTT, that's also quite good as well. I'm going to keep the rules out for a second. Here you've got some of the interesting. So we've got some of the character sheets. I'm guessing these are people from the show. I recognise Glenn for sure, and then you got On and Gabriel. So those people from the show, and they've got their character sheets. If you want to play those characters in the starter set scenario, I'm guessing. Carol as well. I recognise Carol. And then what I love, this is the first time I've ever seen this with pre-generated character sheets, is that you have different names. So for example, and you might not be able to see this well, so apologies. So on these pre-generated character sheets, obviously it's the same person, but then you have their name. So their first name. So this person's first name is either Cecil Hart or Cecil Hart or Cecilia Hart. We've got Ali or Isaac Ibrahim, Bonnie or Rooster Coates, Blossom or Salom Singh, Terry with an I or Terry with a Y Lee, and then an NPC Lisa Harley. So that's really cool. Because obviously a lot of times, and there's actually a little bit of them in the back as well. You've got like a little bit. So yeah, you can actually see it there. Oh, the light is terrible. There you go, Bonnie and Rooster Coates there, and then Cecil and Cecilia Hart. I really like that. I think sometimes it's just a way just to choose a name that you're not bound to a particular gender, although again, you can make them non-binary or anything like that as well. Whatever floats your boat. But I think I'm always a bit pleased to see that. It's a little bit of thinking about it when you're designing a game, saying like, hey, maybe they're not all men. Maybe they're other people. So that's really cool. Actually, I should have looked at, let's take Isaac or Ali. What did they say? For some reason, they won't listen to you, even though you are smarter, more experienced, and look better. Even in these dirty clothes, you've endured the envy of others all your life, and you always stand your ground. The only member of the group I've ever called friend has run off with his lover. In any other circumstance, you would have wished Matthew the best of luck, but he stole your medical equipment, and you need it back. Oh, cool. So not only do you have like a little bit about this person, about the personality, not necessarily tied to like a job role or a role in like a structure per se. You just got like your personality. There's also like a little thing called a secret, and an appearance, issue, drive, talents, anchor, gear, and weapons. So you've got all that down there as well as a quick, easy like look at that. And then obviously then you've got the character sheet on the other side. We'll keep Ali / Isaac Ibrahim out just to use it as a reference point. That is all good. That's shutting this one. Okay. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this because like I said, I don't really know much about The Walking Dead at all, other than little bits and pieces, and so it'd be interesting to see like, this could be. Is this the zombie game that we could use for like all zombie games now, or is it just for Walking Dead games, all that sort of thing? Anyway, enough of Big Fiona Cam. Go back to Tiny Fiona Cam with this. So, oh, look at that! The image moves around when I. Oh, very cool. Anyway, so let's have a quick read through what it says here. So, Walking Dead universe role playing. I will say, what a weird title is the Walking Dead universe role playing game. I wonder if they've had to do that to maybe there's some legal thing that it has to be the Walking Dead universe. It can't be just the Walking Dead role playing game, or maybe there's like a board game already out saying the Walking Dead board game or something. Oh, you can't see it on this side, but I'll move it across. So that's what I was looking at. But it says players 1 to 6, so you could play a solo RPG of this, which is something that Free League do quite a bit. I will say they've started putting solo rules into everything, which I'm a massive fan of because I think everyone should be able to play. But yeah, so let's see what it says on the product page. So we've got Fight the Dead, Fear the Living. The Walking Dead has always been about characters facing impossible choices in an unforgiving world. In the Walking Dead universe role-playing game, you enter into a world of the dead and must face these choices head-on. Ooh. You can do this at any point in the timeline, encountering familiar faces and locations or new ones, but the hardest choice will always be the same. Who are you going to be? We've seen so many stories set in the Walking Dead universe. Now it's time to see yours. Oh, what a great little pitch. Very much like that. Yes. Whoa. Oh, okay, sorry. Flashing images, folks, just so you know. But this is the artwork that you can see. It's very animated artwork. Give you an idea. Alright. The game. In the Walking Dead universe RPG, you will play as people struggling to survive in a hostile world. Exceptional challenges can appear from anywhere. From the lack of essential supplies, from conflicts brewing within the group, from hidden construction flaws in your safe haven, or from approaching walkers hungering for your flesh. Expect the stress and stakes to be high. The rules are based on the acclaimed Year Zero engine, yep, we knew, used in the Free League's award-winning games such as Alien RPG, Blade Runner RPG, Tales from the Loop RPG, Mutant Year Zero, and Forbidden Lands, but uniquely tailored for Walking Dead universe. And this is the thing I'm really interested in seeing, like what is it that's going to make a difference? Game modes. There are 3 ways to play the game: campaign, survival, or solo mode. In campaign mode, it is your goal and choices, the result of group efforts that create the storyline. In survival mode, you are faced with a dangerous situation that needs to be handled immediately. Survival mode scenarios often feature locations and characters from the TV series. Also, it feels very much like again, yeah, TV series. Sorry, I thought I said film as well. I was like, is there a film? But yeah, from the Telltale games as well, it's a similar sort of thing. And then in solo mode, you brave the dangers of the world alone, with only a handful of NPC survivors to help you. Ooh, see, I guess you could probably do a Last of Us type game as well. That'd be really cool. Although I know there's I think it's Dead Air that's come out, which is very Last of Us. Again, on the list to look at as well. Fight for survival, explore the apocalypse, choose your character, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, and so currently what you can get, I'll just quickly shove over the camera. So yeah, so the core book is currently, according to the Free League Publishing website, roughly about £44 to get a full bundle of everything. Is so the starter set, the game screen, and the role-playing rules is about £83, £84, and the starter set is about £34. So the £34 starter set, that's roughly the same for most of the starter sets they do from Free League. And I mean, again, as with all these things, you don't have to buy anything you don't want to, and you certainly, you can get the digital versions as well. So these are obviously the physical versions. There's digital versions of these things as well. What I would say though is that the starter sets, they always are really good. Especially if you're one of those people that needs to have the certain dice for it, I do think they're really good quality. Certainly all Free League products are great quality for this as well. Never played, but always want to. I love Free League's pretty books, 100%. Oh, hello, AJ. Hope you're doing well. Hell yeah, Alien and Tale from the Loop rule. I love Alien, as it feels know from the channel. I've run it twice for Girls Run These Worlds, and hopefully, all the fingers crossed, I will be able to play the final scenario, or the next scenario, sorry, Girls Run These Worlds in the new year. But we'll see. You've got to get back to me about that. But yeah, I've never played anything like this before, so I'm very excited to jump on in. So, with all that out of the way, let's pull up the Adobe Reader, get rid of this, there we are. So, as I said, because I'm trying not to be one of those guys, I did watch a little bit of that plagiarism video. Obviously you can get a link to where you can see Walking Dead again, and check out all the Free League stuff, but today I'm going to look at the starter set rules and basically try and get us into what the Walking Dead universe RPG is like. So it's not going to contain everything in it. I assume it's not going to contain stuff like character creation, which is absolutely fine, but hopefully the main mechanics and maybe a few other bits and pieces for the pre-generated for the scenario as well. It's roughly, I know you can't see it on the page, it's roughly about 44 pages, which is a nice easy length. I quite like that sort of thing, and so we'll just see how we go with that. Obviously at the top of the stream, not sponsored, not that that matters, because obviously unless something happens, I really go, wait a minute, what are you doing? On top of that, obviously content warnings. I don't know what this book's going to contain. Hopefully not too many graphic images. I don't think so. I think the art style's a little bit more esoteric and a little bit more vague than, say, a cult is when we did the art on stream. But also, take care of yourselves. Again, if you're not a fan of zombies, totally understand. But any violence or anything like that, it might come up in this. So just letting people know at the top before we dive right in. Hashtag not sponsored. One day, AJ, but it's not this day. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we've got like I said, the handprints. Oh, look at that. Such good details. Oh, but we'll quickly switch it to single view. And there we go. Oh, yeah, so we've got Matthias there, editing and project management, and Thomas. Yeah, so those are the two sort of slightly senior level game designers on there. I don't recognise anyone else. Actually. Oh, solo play was Matt Kay. Very cool. All good. And so special thanks as well. I did think it was interesting because I do know that in the Kickstarter they talked about doing a limited series, like actual play series, with this game. And I don't know if that ever happened. I don't know if it ever came about, or maybe we're waiting for it still. So I think that's a really cool thing for Kickstarters to do. Is like, hey, we've got this game up, but also, by the way, we're going to do a limited series Kickstarter. If they know the game's going to be successful, like, it's Walking Dead, of course it's going to have a fan base. But I'd love to see that. It was like really edited, really limited series on that. But yeah, I don't know if that ever came to anything. Anyway, so let's see what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 sections, chapters. So hopefully all of this will be quite quick. So we've got introduction, World of the Dead, a bit of a lore there, characters, the player characters, characteristics. So breaking down that character sheet, stress and anchors, using skills, skill list. Let's see, it's not too bad for skill list. It looks very similar to the Alien one. Duels, brawls, damage and healing, other hazards, gear, fighting the dead, running the game. Interesting enough, I think the Alien starter set rules, they were over 100 pages. And I think it was a separate to the scenario as well. So this is interesting how condensed it might be. Anyway, let's dive right in. Oh, first of all, I know that's the best way of learning is to have an example right at the beginning and you read it through. I am not going to do that. That's fine. We'll just go straight onto the second column there because I'm just like, oh, with one joint. Yeah. No. You guys can read that in your own time. You can read the example in your own time. No time for that. There you go, Pan. Welcome to the starter set for the Walking Dead universe role-playing game. In this set, you'll find everything you need to play the first survival mode and scenario for the game called The Wolves' Den. The text on the left is an example about how the dialogue between those participating in the game may flow during an intense scene. As you probably noticed, there are both players and a game master in this game. You and your friends will have to decide beforehand which of you is the game master or the GM. The rest of you, preferably 2 to 5 players, are players who each will play a player character. All the other people in the world, such as a thief in the example, are non-player characters. They're controlled by the GM. Oh, I feel like already I'm like, could we call the game master something? Like we call the game master in Alien Mother, for example, and the player character. I just like giving things names just because it makes me feel very immersed and stuff. Sorry, there's loads of things happening. There are prettiest books. Vassan is so cool looking. Oh man, I need to cover Vassan at some point because it's so good. There's no starter set for Vassan though. Might have been derailed by the strikes. Saw a few groups avoiding stuff based on TV, movie IPs during them. That is so true, AJ. I had not even considered that. Again, clearly I'm so out of touch with what's going on. But I wondered if they would film it anyway and then put it out, but who knows? Yeah, this kind of makes sense. And yeah, I like Vassan so much that I also have somehow even prettier art book. Oh, I know, I've got that over there as well. So good. And it's just such an interesting concept. Love it. Anyway, enough about Vassan and Faye. We're here to talk about death. NPCs are in the same group as PCs or could be recruited to join the group and often referred to as NPC survivors. If or when your PC dies, you may choose one of the NPC survivors to become your new PC. The contents of this booklet can be read by both players and game masters. You don't need to know the content by heart, but well enough to be able to use it as a reference when playing. Contents. This starter set contains 2 booklets. The one you're reading right now is an introduction to the selection of the game rules focused on what you will need for the survival mode scenario, The Wolves' Den, which you will find in the second booklet. Adding to that, the box set contains 10 base die and as many stress die, a threat meter, 3 maps of the locations, and 10 pre-generated player characters. So you're probably going to die a lot in this game. Finally, there is this huge double-sided area map in the box depicting the region of Atlanta, Georgia, and an area in Virginia. They spelled Virginia wrong. Hang on, enhance. They have. That's not how you spell Virginia. Unless that's a new American way of spelling Virginia. Interesting. Well, I'll have to go and talk to... Go right to Free League. What is role-playing games? Hopefully we know that, so we're going to skip that a little bit there. Oh, there's another example. Game Master. The Game Master is a director like a director for a play or a leader of the group. They most often get the game going and call an end when it's over for the night. Well, you say that. I'm like, let's keep going another 6 hours. The GM describes what things look like, what is happening around the PCs, and makes decisions for all the other players in the world, all the other people in the world beside the PCs, but they do not have to do it alone. This book is full of tips and instructions that will help them do their part, and if they think some things are hard, they may always ask the players for help. Oh, that's really good. What does it say up here? In addition to this core, there's a book containing the core rules, giving you all the tools you need to create and evolve PCs and design and run the game in campaign mode. Right, that makes more sense. So yeah, so if you want to level up these characters, we need the core rules for that. Excuse me. It is not the GM's job to entertain the players. You all entertain each other. Help other players have fun, and they will see it that you will have a good time. Put their PCs in difficult and interesting situations, start conflicts, have emotional make-up scenes where your PCs find trust in each other, or whatever signifies a fun time for you and your friends. There are 2 ways to play the game, campaign mode or survival mode. Whichever way you play, you will always meet up physically or online and play for a few hours. This is called a session, and it could be compared to an episode of a TV show. Survival mode, scenarios like the Wolves Den, are often finished in 1 or 2 sessions. They will give you a pre-written situation and often pre-generated PCs or NPCs. They put you right in the dramatic and dangerous situation that needs to be handled right there and then. Also, survival mode scenarios often contain places and peoples from the TV franchise. Campaign mode, however, is when you play several sessions that together form a longer story. The story you create is not predetermined. Your choices and the result of your efforts create the storyline. For rules and guidelines on how to set up and run a campaign, see the core book. Very good. Fiona, do you not have a fastened poster in your room now? Yeah, I do, but I've not put it up because it is absolutely terrifying. Maybe I'll show it on the stream at the end because that would be absolutely terrifying. If we're looking for alternates to GM and players, I'd pitch Chronicler and Survivors. Oh, I love that, AJ. The Biter and Bitees. I also like that, Liz. Either or. I think that'd be quite cool. Principles of the game. Oh, this is very much like Powered by the Apocalypse, isn't it? When you have the principles out for the players or expectations. So this entire game is permeated by a few simple principles. They are both instructions on how to play and sources of inspiration. Go through them with any new players before you start playing. Number 1. Do whatever it takes to survive. There is no preset path to salvation for your PC, and no way to win the game. There are no boss endings or hidden treasures. All there is your will to survive, and your freedom to do whatever it takes to keep going for another day. Number 2. Death is inescapable. Death is everywhere, and even though you can kill individual walkers, there will always be more coming. Your only hope is to build barricades, but they will only last so long. Number 3. You are never safe. Everything changes. There's no permanent safe place. Those who were your allies yesterday may sneak into your camp tonight or to take your supplies or your life. The old gas station, which was cleared an hour ago, is now filled with walkers after a car alarm went off. Even your own mind may betray you through fear, weakness, and even delusion. Number 4. You are not alone. This game is about a group of people, not individual heroes. Your PC may die, but you will get a new one. The same holds for other players and the GM. Everyone is equally responsible for what happens at the table. You all bring the fun, and you should respect each other's preferences and wishes. Number 5. You are telling a story. The game is played in scenes. Not everything that happens must be played out. Set scenes and play whatever feels interesting. Skip the rest. And 6. Fiction comes first. In this game, the story is more important than the rules. Never say anything about rules mechanics without first describing and talking about how it impacts the story. Oh, how interesting. This game is not about attacking walkers or rolling for damage. It's about what these experiences bring out in your PCs and how it changes you and your perspective on the world. So if a dice roll does not align with the story that you want to tell, or where a player wants to take a PC, talk about it first before allowing the dice to dictate where the story goes. What a great rule. I love that. That really sort of is evocative, almost like rule of cooling it, right? And I like that. Again, it is about the role play. It's like I always say that about Alien, right? Some people are like, well, why would we play Alien? It's kind of like it's given away in the title, like what the issue is. And I'm like, oh no, Alien is so much more than this big scary monster. That's the least of your problems. That's like immediate death. You are currently being surrounded by all these corporations. You're on the cutting edge of space. You are in a horrible place by corporations just putting you there and shitting on you. And then there's a warfare going on. And then on top of that, there's a creature that's going to kill you straight away. And it's just like, all those elements are so cool. And the same with Blade Runner as well. It's like, the androids, and it's like, no, but there's like intrigue and the case files and just loads of stuff as well. Vasan as well is another good example where, sure, you've got you have to go to these places and work out how to appease whatever the creatures there is, not through necessarily combat, but also you're like, but there's also what happened to the society that you're a part of. We're going to find out stories about them. So there's just so much more to do it. Biters and Bitees has my vote. That is a great rule. I agree. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change the music a little bit. It's just a little bit too joyous for my liking. I'm going to put on the March of the Dead. It's obviously in the description as well. Is it going to play? It's probably not. Oh, yes, it is playing. But all this music is by Travis Savoy, is RPG music maker on YouTube, and I highly recommend his stuff. I've used it for a lot of streams, but also for this, and as long as you credit him, they're free to use, so check them out. A little bit quiet. There you go. A little bit more gentle. I guess it's quite late as well. Alright, I'm moving over. Whoa. The World of the Dead. This game takes place in the Walking Dead universe, the same setting explored through various TV shows from the AMC networks. Some time has passed since those started to come back as flesh-eating walkers. Exactly how much time is for you to decide. Before that, your PCs all led ordinary lives. They made it through the first wave of death and destruction, bearing witness as society collapsed and the army made a futile attempt to defend the cities from walkers. Now, a close-knit group of allies and maybe even rivals who stick together to survive. They are now a close-knit group. They have a haven, a base where they are relatively safe, but they are constantly on the lookout for food, medicine, and all other resources needed to get by. And besides the walkers, there are other survivors out there. Some of them may want to join your group of PCs, but others will try and steal what you have, or even kill you. Ooh, see, already it's not just about zombies. Turns out it's about people too. Safety Tools, the Walking Dead TV series, takes place in the dark world with many situations that raises issues relating to personal morality. This game is no different. That said, it is still a game, and players should not be forced to deal with topics they find distressing in real life or make them feel unsafe at the table. To make sure that everyone is having fun and feeling safe, we recommend that you use safety tools before, during, and after the game. Example of such safety tools are pre-game discussions about lines and veils for subjects that the players want to avoid or keep off stream. Safety cards to be shown during play by a player to indicate if they feel uncomfortable with what's happening in the game, and post-game debriefings. Always respect a player's wish to raise a concern at any time during the game, or even leave the table if they want to. And don't forget to take breaks. More information about safety tools. More information about safety tools in the tabletop role-playing community. Tabletop role-playing can be found online. Bit of a cop-out on that last sentence. I'd put them at the back, maybe a QR code, which you could update. But that's just me. It's like, okay, well, I guess I could just type in safety tools in tabletop role-playing games onto Google, and then find someone shouting about them. In the long run, this game could be about rebuilding society and creating something new from the ashes. But, as the world of the dead is lethal, and your PCs will be forced to do things that may drive them mad or fundamentally change who they are, it could just be turned out to be a story about going from bad to worse. Zoom in a little bit because my eyes are tired. The Outbreak. This all started with the Outbreak, the moment when the dead started coming back. Everyone remembers it. Everyone lost somebody. Sometime before the outbreak, a virus spread around the globe. Everyone carries it, and it is this virus that makes you come back after you die. It doesn't matter how, walker bite, bullet wound, starvation, sickness, or natural causes. Everyone comes back as a walker. That said, being bitten or scratched by a walker will always kill you, as the wound becomes infected. Your only hope if bitten is to amputate the limb, and quickly. The walkers. Walkers are everywhere. There are no safe spaces or places. They are like the wind or water, seeping in whenever there is a crack. You can kill individual walkers, but you can never take out so many that it makes a real difference. The simple matter of fact is if you mess up and attract their attention, the swarm will come. Walkers are driven only by their compulsion to devour living flesh. When a gathering of walkers comes together, they form a swarm and move as one. A huge walker swarm can destroy almost anything in its path. Whoop. The living. In a world where food is scarce, there is little electricity and no industrial production of medicine or other equipment. The struggle to survive often means taking from other people. The few remaining survivors have done all the inhuman things to stay alive. The living are often a bigger threat to the PCs than the walkers. But there are all kinds. In a world with cannibals, robbers, and murderers, there are also those who want to trade, join ranks, and build a new society. The Haven. Most survivors have a haven where they rest and gather supplies. It could be anything from some tents on a rooftop to a well-functioning military base with running hot water and electricity. In the survival mode scenario included in this box set, the PCs are assumed to have come from the same haven. However, the haven itself is not described, and it doesn't matter in the situation they're in. Okay. When and where? I wonder with the haven stuff, again, maybe I should check this. Do you have like a sheet for it? Like, is it like Blades in the Dark, or like in Vassan has it as well, where when you level up, you can level up like bits of your headquarters or bits of your, like, oh, you get this element and stuff. Because Vassan does it really well. I really like that. We talked about bastions on DM's book club, where you can update or get new particular rooms in your bastion. So I wonder if it's the same thing, if you can get like an actual sheet and you can take care of it from session to session and maybe have that thing going. Meanwhile, back at your haven, there's been someone's gone and rolled and someone's let a walker in and whoops, well, that's pretty bad. Let's all leave. So that could be interesting. When and where? The Walking Dead universe role-playing game is designed to be set at any point in the time after the outbreak. Anywhere on the timeline, before, during, and after any season of the various TV shows set within the AMC's fictional universe. The one-shot survival mode scenarios, such as The Wolf's Den, are typically set at a certain point in the TV franchise, letting you encounter characters and locations from that show. Fair enough. Building Weretopia. I think if that will just be me, I'd be too nervous. You can't come in. What's your favourite dice? No one picks a D8. Get out! The answer is, of course, a D12. The player characters. This section is about your PC. In the core rulebook, you'll find rules for creating your very own PC, but when playing The Wolf's Den, you use one of the pre-generated PCs contained in the box. The core of your PC is their background and personality. As the story progresses, you'll find out more about yourself and your relationships to the other PCs. Issue. Everyone who is alive in the world of the dead has an issue, something that is problematic or challenging about their person. Ooh, a flaw. An issue could be almost anything. Being an alcoholic, trusting people too easily, being lonely, is that an issue? And longing for company, and so on. Issues have two functions. The most important is to help you understand and roleplay your PC. The other is to give the GM inspiration for creating challenges in the story. If you, for example, are protective of children and cannot stand to see them get hurt, there will probably come a time where you hear babies crying in a building that is surrounded by walkers. It is up to you to decide how your PC handles it. You might risk it all to save those babies, or you find out that the children are not as important as to your PC after all. It's possible to change your issue at any time, but it works best to do it between sessions. You always have at least one issue. That's true, I hadn't even considered, I was like, yeah, so maybe you're very violent, etc. But you could really go in deep. You can go into like almost cult Divinity Lost levels of like, oh, you're not going to go for those children. No luck finding those children then. Drive. Your drive is the thing that makes you grit your teeth and push through the fear and pain. Your drive could be that you are looking for your daughter, or that you're afraid of dying. It's whatever keeps you going. Once every session, you may use your drive to get a +2 modifier on a skill roll. Describe how it motivates you and makes you able to push on, and then roll 2 extra base die for the skill roll. Oh, amazing. You must declare that you're using your drive before your roll. You may change your drive at any time, or as a consequence of not being able to handle your fear, you may lose your drive. This process is described on the next page. Bye. Right. Attributes, talents, and skills indicate what your character is good at. Together they refer to as the characteristics. Attribute values can range from 1 to 5, and skill values from 0 to 5. Okie dokie. Love some flaws. Yeah, absolutely. Brutal flaws, though. Attributes. Everyone has 4 attributes which indicate your core strengths and weaknesses. They are strength, agility, wits, and empathy. I think those are the same for Alien as well. Strength is a measure of how tough you are. It is your ability to take and deliver a beating. It determines things like how long you can go for without food or rest, or how easily you pry open a blocked door. Agility is the measure of your coordination or motor skills. It is used, for example, when you sneak away from something dangerous, when you try to balance on an icy rooftop, and when you shoot a gun. Wits is your intellectual capacity, which you use to solve problems. It also reflects your prior education and your general level of world weariness. And finally, empathy represents your ability to understand people, and to persuade, charm, or trick them. Skills require knowledge, training, and expertise. There are 12 skills, 3 connected to each base attribute, and these are described in more detail on page 16. Great. And talents are the tricks, traits, and abilities that benefit you in various situations. They affect your dice rolls, or that you do something you would not be able to do otherwise. Talents are available in the starter set, are described on the pre-generated character PCs. Okay. So let's see if we go to this one here. So the Ali or Isaac Ibrahim talent is you've seen it all. You don't take stress from someone getting wounded, tormented, or even broken. Ooh, that's a pretty good talent, I'd say. Nice. Again, presumably in the core rulebook, it has a whole bunch of talents because again, similar to the alien stuff. All right. So the skills we've got. Again, we're going to go into detail a little bit later. We've got close combat, endure, and force. Those are all attached to strength. You have mobility, ranged combat, and stealth, which is all agility. And wits is scout, survival, tech. And then finally, empathy has leadership, manipulation, and medicine. Interesting. Health points. All PCs and NPCs have 3 health points. Ooh, that's not enough health at all. Each point of damage removes 1 point of health. You lose all of them, you are broken and suffer a critical injury. Damage and healing are described later on. Oh my god, you're so like, you're just squishy. Oh no. Stress and anchors. When scary or distressing things happen, your PC takes stress. You can also suffer stress by pushing skill rolls. Sorry, I just realised something. So before, certainly in Alien, I don't know what it's like in Blade Runner, your health is tied to, I think, your strength, like, value. So the fact that here, everyone has the same amount of health. Everyone always has 3 hit health points. That's probably good. It puts us on a player's field, but it's still very little. When scary or distressing things happen, your PC will take stress. You can also suffer stress by pushing dice rolls. Oh, so that's another thing. Yep. Having stress lets you add stress dice to any skill roll, but you also risk messing up and tracking walkers. Stress and stress dice are described on page 12. You start the game without any stress. Huh, that sounds good. Anchors were a great feature in Tales from the Loop. Oh, nice. Well, I'm looking forward to reading it. We're about to do it. It's interesting because I've not played Tales from the Loop. I've played Things from the Flood, but that was a long time ago. I think it was for a stream that I think we didn't do the rules right. But let's try it out. So anchors, the pre-made PCs in the box all have a named person as their anchor. In game, you can interact with them to relieve stress. An anchor, it can be someone like a friend, lover, your parent, or a child. Okay, so what have we got here? So your anchor, so the anchor for Isaac / Ali / Isaac Ibrahim is Bonnie / Rooster Coates. Okay, cool. It doesn't really tell you what it is for that, but I guess you can make that up because it's a regenerated character. It's fine. Handle your fear. When you play, bad things will happen, and your PC risks being pushed beyond their limits. At the end of each session, the GM will go through the list of breaking points on page 10. If any of these things happen to you during the session, you need to roll to handle your fear. When you try to handle your fear, you roll as many dice as you have, as either your wits or your empathy allows, your choice. Add a +2 for each anchor who is still alive and on your side. You do not add stress dice. Rolls handle your fear cannot be pushed. If the roll is successful, you manage to handle your fear. If you fail the roll, you are overwhelmed by fear, and then you roll on the overwhelmed table on page 10 to see what happens. That's wild! So it's a bit like when you level up at the end, in Powered by the Apocalypse games, you always ask those questions like, did you succeed the mission? Did you do this? The list of breaking points. This is great. So this is a bad thing. Like, these things happen to you. You need to roll your fear. Ooh, love that. Oh, sorry. Did you? What we got here? Same system, really. It's just one is children, one is teens. Yeah, exactly. I really like it as a result. Pre-HP sounds super brutal, but I think it fits very much a setting about how vulnerable humans are to basically everything. Yeah, 100% agreed. I'm just like, oh, I'm so squishy. We did a thing of things from the flood on pretending with dice. I'm actually really digging these rules. Very drama-oriented rather than just zombie smashing. Well, it's true, and I think this is the thing. Free League, again, I know everyone in the chat's like, woohoo, Free League. They really think about, like... Because ultimately, I can imagine... you rolling a session, and actually it is, again, it's not about the zombies come in maybe at the end when the threat level goes too high, but it's about having those standoff with other people trying to get into camp. Maybe someone is trying to escape, a prisoner, all that sort of thing. I remember what's the one from the Telltale game right at the beginning? It's like there's a farmer and someone comes up and you have to do a choice between like killing their child or one of their children because the one's infected or something like that. It was a very brutal first interaction. Do you remember? But I love this handle your fear mechanic. That's really cool. And that you get a choice. It's not just like, oh, you could choose your wits or you could choose your empathy. And then having the anchor there who's still alive and on your side. Ooh. But no stress dice as well. Because this is the thing as well. Having stress dice, a stress mechanic is really great. It's very thematic. But you do, when you're under pressure, you're more likely to succeed. Whereas this is just from your base attribute, right? So it's make or break. You're not going to have, it's not going to change too much. Which I really like. Breaking points. So if anything's happened during a session, you need to handle your fear. The anchor gets killed or disappears. The anchor turns against you or leaves. You kill or brutally beat someone who can't defend themselves. Ooh. You're broken by damage. You have, at some point during the session, accumulated 5 stress. Something you've built or struggled hard to achieve. Something you've built or struggled hard to achieve, such as your haven, gets destroyed. Oh no, these are horrible. I wonder if you could add like your own custom ones to that, perhaps. Also, I'm going to assume that your success is that you roll a 6. Also, but that, hang on, does it say if any? Oh, so you just need to. I'm guessing you don't need to roll once. So if any of these things happen to you during the session, you need to handle your fear. So it's not like your anchor gets killed or disappears. And you go roll handle your fear. Oh, I succeed. And then you go, you brutally killed someone, and you go, do I have to roll again? No, I guess it's just one of those things. It's quite good. And then you get overwhelmed by the overwhelmed table. So we've got 1 to 2 is you lose your drive. 3 to 5 you become shattered. Oh, so we'll talk about that condition in a second. The 6 is your issue has changed or you gain another one. So here it says losing drive, whatever motivated you to stay alive in the past does not motivate you any longer. It could still be a part of your personality, but you cannot use it to get +2 bonus on a skill roll. Shattered. Oh, there's a little table here. Talks to dead people, sees dead people, thinks the walkers are alive, protects one special walker, wants to die, emotionally shut off, involuntary rage, paranoid, obsessive compulsive behavior. Okay, so that's going to be shattered in a second. So to regain your drive or get a new drive, your PC must show that they still have things to fight for, and they must keep doing it over time. When you and the game master agreed that this is the case, you regain your drive. Great. Shattered. When you become shattered, you start suffering from delusions, bad habits, or beliefs accumulated with the result of losing your mind. You couldn't handle your fear, and now you are changed. The table shattered above gives some ideas, but you can come up with anything that suits your PC and their current issue. It's not easy to get back from being shattered. You must roleplay in sessions and scenes how you find a way to move forward and leave the fear behind. Most often the whole group will decide together when it seems that your PC has healed enough to stop being shattered. Right, so I think what's really important here, and I think I mentioned this on the Alien read through it as well, is that this is a roleplay thing. And again, it's something that you'd have to talk with and do the sensitively stuff, certainly in your session 0, and just check with people going, is this okay? It's nice it's a non-exhaustive list as well. And I think more importantly, it's making it sound like that it's not like a game mechanic. Like you're not going to have to roll against, like if you it's a role play thing, a flavor something, rather than a mechanics thing. Otherwise, you get into that, the sanity, insanity, madness stuff that Call of Cthulhu does, which gets a little bit. Again, you shouldn't be gamifying this sort of thing anyway. It's like, how do we put it in our games without doing it a disservice, like punching down on people, So I do think this is a good way, just reading it now. I'm sure. Again, I like the fact that it's non-exhaustive and that you can have a conversation about the roleplay element of it. I think that's really, really cool. Okie dokie. Using skills. This section describes how skill tests, pushing rolls, and gaining stress all works. There are 12 skills in the game that allow you to handle or endure difficult situations. Each of them is linked to an attribute. When using a skill, add the skill level and its associated attribute together. This sum determines how many six-sided base dice you roll. Note, you may use a skill even if you had no skill level in it. Just roll the number of base dice equal to the attribute. So yeah, so if we were doing, if I go back up to the, so if I was doing, say if I didn't have anything in mobility and I had to roll an agility mobility roll to get out of the way or to sneak somewhere. But I didn't have anything in mobility, but I had stuff in, everyone has stuff in agility. So you can still roll an agility mobility roll, but you just only roll the attribute dice for it. Which makes sense. Probably that's where you come with your drive. That's what you'd use there. Does the drive say you can use it once per session? Let me just look. Drive once every session. Yeah, so it's a one-off. That makes sense. When using a skill, the sum will determine how many six-based dice you use. Just roll that number. Yeah, so if you have any stress points, you must also add one stress die to your roll for each point of stress. Rolling at least 1 6 counts as a success. You rarely need more than 1 success to succeed in order to pass a skill check. So yeah, incredibly much like Alien. There's a little thing there. Adding modifiers. A basic rule is that everything affecting skill roll is added together. If you have a talent or an item that adds +2 to the roll, and somebody else helps you by granting a further +1 bonus, you add a total of 3 extra base dice to the roll. In rare cases, you may also need to roll fewer base die. Rare. Means and ends. Before you make a skill roll, you must describe what your PC is trying to achieve. The GM may ask you to explain further or change your goal. It usually happens when they cannot get a clear picture of what you want to do or find your goal unrealistic. For example, you cannot use stealth to sneak past a guard who has already seen you. Yeah, fair enough. Failed tests. Failing a test means you don't get the result that you want. If you, for instance, are trying to climb over a fence to get away from a swarm of walkers, they grab your feet and pull you back down. Trying to inspire others to take up arms, they feel reluctant to follow you. If you fail at building a camp in the wilderness, walkers might be able to attack you without warning, or it will start to rain and all your supplies will get wet. At times, the GM will let you get some of what you want, even if you fail. This could mean that some of the NPCs agree to fight with you, but not all, or that you manage to climb over the fence to escape the walkers chasing you, but walkers appear on the other side. Surprise! Or if you manage to set up camp, but the next day you leave behind a trail which will lead others to you. Yeah, always move the story forward no matter what. I like that. Ooh, oh. Pushing the roll. When you fail a test, you can always choose to give it one more try. This is called pushing the roll. If you have found another way to achieve what you want, or you simply muster the last of your reserves of strength and resolve. If you cannot explain what your PC does to let them try again, you are not allowed to push the roll. You can only push a specific roll once. Now I like that a lot, because I'm always teasing characters to be like, oh, you can push the roll, but if they've got, it needs to be worthwhile, because pushing the roll obviously is a bad thing, as it's going to explain here. So when you push a roll, you re-roll all dice that are not successes, so that aren't a 6. You also take 1 stress point and add a stress die to the re-roll. So for example, if you're doing that mobility, agility check to, say, sneak into somewhere, and it is in total 8 base die, 5 base die, and then you have 3 levels of stress, and you don't roll any successes, and you're like, I'm going to push the roll, you'd add another level of stress. So you've gone from 3 to 4, and then you would add that other die in it. So now you're rolling 4 stress in total for the 8 that you're going to do. You can push rolls that have already succeeded, since there are situations where multiple successes are needed. Oh, look at that image there. Incredible. Stress die. Frightening, dangerous, or tense situations in-game can cause your character to suffer stress in the form of stress points. As described above, you also take a stress point every time you push a skill roll. You never take more than one stress point at a time, no matter how stressful a situation is. Excuse me. The stress factor tables indicate typical situations that will lead you into taking stress. For each stress point you have accumulated, you will add one stress die to any skill roll you make. This is not optional. This is not optional. Because it's stressful. Stress will make you more focused and more inclined to succeed with what you are doing. However, it also makes you more likely to make mistakes. Rolling a 1 on the stress die is called rolling a walker. It means two things. You cannot push the roll if you've not done so already, and you mess up. It is possible to succeed on a roll and still mess up. You get what you want, but something else goes wrong. The effect of messing up is the same whether you roll one or several walkers on your stress die. But here are some stress factors. So some examples that will give you a stress point. So pushing a roll, not getting enough food and water, being attacked by walkers, being shot at, being framed for murder, being rejected by your lover. Oh, I mean, that is stressful. Killing another human in cold blood, seeing someone in a group get bitten, seeing someone in the group being broken by damage, being broken by damage, and being bitten. That's interesting. There's the same thing for an alien, because it's a bit more thematic in their sense. It's like someone being revealed to be an android, which I love. Stress. I agree, AJ. Messing up. When you roll a walker on a stress die, you mess up. Typically, that means you've attracted walkers and are now under attack. When you mess up in this way, the GM either raises the threat level on page 30 by 1, or you suffer a single attack. When you mess up, the GM often says something about what happens and then lets you describe it. This way, you can portray your PC's reaction in a way that makes sense to you. If you see your PC as a badass warrior, it would not be fun to have them stumble on a banana peel surrounded by enemies. You may instead have your PC fight for their lives, beat 2 opponents to the ground, and then fail to see a third that sneaks up on them from behind, and the PC goes down as a hero. At times, the GM will decide that the situation you are in is messed up enough as it is. In that situation, your only consequence would be that you can't push the roll. How interesting. That you can't push the roll. I think there should always be some sort of consequence for failing a roll of some description. But let's see what it says for messing up. When you mess up, it could mean that you alert the swarm by making noise, so raise the threat level by 1 step. Fail to notice a couple of walkers who close in on you, a single attack. You run out of bullets, gas, spare parts, or other resources. You offend someone. You hurt yourself. You break something important. You get lost, or you lose your hostage. I'm always offending people. Messing up in other ways. When you have played a couple of sessions, you could let messing up mean something other than making noise that attracts walkers. It could be anything from realising that you are out of bullets to unknowingly offending an important NPC who will now start working against you. That is true. Another example there as well, which we do not need to read. Extra successes. Rolling more successes on a skill roll than required means that you are extra successful. You impress the people around you, or you get a little bit more than you wanted. So there's lots of these example plays coming through, which again, is great. And it helps me. It helps some people. I don't need the play example. I played Alien. Interesting. They didn't have it too much in the Alien starter set. They had more of a like talking through. Like you'd have like bits of prologue that you'd read through, but it wasn't like this is what you do and this that and the other. So I wonder then, thinking about it, if I just zoom out a little bit. It's probably this game is actually probably more aimed at, or certainly this starter set is more aimed at people who have never played role-playing games before, but they love The Walking Dead. I think that's what it is. Compared to Alien, which maybe there are more people that are around that love Alien, but also role-playing games. Maybe the same with Blade Runner, although I can't remember if Blade Runner had a lot of example plays in it. But it just seems to be a lot of example plays for everything about the system, which is great. It's great game design choice in terms of layout. If you, I guess maybe it's also maybe padding a little bit with the rules if you can't have rules for like character creation. I don't know. Offending someone and being bitten by the living dead are equally stressful to a British person. But which order? Which order, Liz? Yeah, I'd add speaking up when someone's queue jumps to that list of stressful things. Oh, I think when I'm just trying to think what other things I found stressful. Okay, so when you go to the self-service checkout and you have to do your ID. You have to give your ID, but no one's around, and so you're just looking hopefully for somebody to like say yes, you're over 18. I find that really stressful when there's no one else around in the self-checkout, and I'm like, I am 18. Because obviously, and then they're like, because then what it is that they judge you for what you've bought, and they're like, oh, a Lucasade, huh? Helping each other out. When you make a skill roll, others may help you. They need to describe what they're doing to help, and it has to make sense for what they're actually contributing. Just being there or saying encouraging words isn't enough. When you are helping someone, you cannot do anything else at the same time. You get a +1 to your skill roll for every person helping you up to a maximum of 3, so you get an extra 3 base dice. PCs can help even if they have 0 in a relevant skill. NPCs can only help if they are trained, expert, or master in a skill. Oh, slightly different there. Parallel actions. When 2 or more PCs are doing an activity at the same time, they cannot help each other out. For example, if you're all trying to sneak into a house where you are, where you're being held, or sneak out of a house where you're being held hostage, or if you're both swimming to a boat, in such cases you must pass your own test without help from others. However, some skills allow PCs whose roles result in more than one success to give an extra success to other players or PCs. Yes, this happens. I think it's called stunts in Aliens, I think. A good runner who gets several successes on their mobility rolls, for example, may give one to each of her successes to others who have failed their tests. In the game, this probably means that the overachieving PC offers to carry supplies for the other players, or clears the road for them, or tells them which way to run. If a player cannot explain how the PCs help the others, they cannot give them the extra successes. And I love this. They always put in this chance of success table. So, and again, remember that the chance to succeed is just rolling a 6, right? So, with 10 dice, chance to succeed is a 84% to get a 6 somewhere in the 10 dice. But if you push it, that instantly goes up to 97%. That would be wild if you didn't get any of that. But then here, again, obviously you have 1 dice, only 17% chance to succeed, and the push roll only goes up to 31. So, really interesting. I got ID'd at the self-service buying vitamins. Oh no! That's terrible, AJ. That's so bad. Like, what kind of vitamins do you need? I guess, I don't know. What else have I been ID'd for? I've been ID'd for vitamins, a sewing kit once, matches, batteries. But I did have that one, and I'm sure everyone's seen that post on Twitter. And it happened to me recently as well, when they're like, I hand over my ID, they look at it and then give it back almost straight away, and I was like, oh, yeah, what makes you think that? He goes, oh, your birthday started with the number 19, and I was like, oh, that hurts. Opposed roles. When you and another PC or NPC are competing or otherwise working against one another, you make an opposed roll. It could be when you or an enemy race to get to the armory first, when you are hiding or someone is trying to find you, when both of you are trying to convince a crowd that your stance on a subject is correct, or when you're trying to outsmart each other. You and your opponent each roll. The person with the most successes wins. A draw means you and the other person are forced to compromise. You either both get some of what you wanted but not all, or you both hurt each other simultaneously. Extra successes. In an opposed roll, extra successes count as 6s rolled beyond what is needed to win the roll. If you gain 1 more success than your opponent, you just simply win. Each additional success is counted as an additional success. Right. Bonus from gear. When you use a tool or weapon, you get a bonus, a number of extra base dice that get you get added to your skill roll. You find the tables for these later on. Fine. Other dice rolls. This game uses only d6s, and they are used for more than they are used for more than just the skill rolls mentioned above. Here's a listing of other kinds of dice rolls employed in the various game situations. Excuse me. Double high, double low. What happens in the game is sometimes decided by the game master rolling dice, for instance. For instance, the player characters encounter a swarm of walkers and need to be randomly determine its size. If this happens in a situation where the game master thinks it would be likely that either to get a high or low result, they may choose to roll a double high or double low. This means rolling 2 dice and going with the highest or lowest outcome. So, okay, advantage, disadvantage, kind of. A D66 and a D666. Number of the beast. Another type of roll is the D66, which is typically rolled when consulting a table on deciding what happens. See the critical injuries table. This means rolling 2 6-sided dice. Before you roll, decide which of them represents the tens and which one represents the units. Yada yada yada. In rare cases, you'll even roll a D666. This means rolling 3 dice. The first is hundreds, second is tens, third is ones. What do you use that for? Oh, it says it. So, the different kinds of rolls we've got skill roll, a D6, a D66, and D666. Oh, it doesn't say what it's for them. Double high, double low, random die. Everyone rolls a die, the lowest result loses, and a lucky die. GM rolls a die to decide something. Oh, more information here. A random die. In some situations, for example, when fighting a swarm, the rules say that someone in the group has been bitten. You and the other players may be asked to roll a random die. This means everyone rolls a die. High is good. The one with the lowest result is the one that gets bitten. What do you do if there's a draw? Do both of them get bitten? Or the last type of dice roll is the lucky die. It's used for situations where chance plays a big part and there are no rules or skills that apply. It could, for instance, be a situation where a PC is searching nearby houses for one with an unlocked door. They need to be lucky. The game master states the odds for finding an unlocked door, for example 2 and 6, and then they roll a die in front of the player. If a 1 or 2 comes up, that PC has found an unlocked door. Very cool. Roll again. Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Skill list. So, let's go through this quickly, because I think most of this makes sense. So, close combat makes sense with that strength, is that you're fighting unarmed with a melee weapon. Use close combat. How much damage is inflicted by a successful attack is specified for each weapon. By rolling more successes than required, you may increase the damage by 1 for each success. Endure is the ability that you can withstand hunger and cold, as well as being able to march for long periods of time without rest. It lets you withstand poison and disease. And in some situations, you may transfer any extra successes to other PCs or NPCs in the same situation. Force is your ability to lift heavy objects, smash open blocked doors, and achieve things that require brute strength and determination. Mobility is the ability to run fast, climb high, and leap out of danger. Make a mobility test when you flee from or chase after someone. Driving a car is in difficult situations is also handled by mobility. In combat, you can use mobility to take cover or flee. Combat skills. Close combat and range combat are not only about pointing a gun in the right direction or being able to hit someone over the head with a hammer. It also covers positioning in a fight, moving around to get a good angle, and knowing how to attack without being hit. When you succeed with a combat skill, not only manage to hit your target, but you've also done what is necessary to survive in a fight, either because you're trained or because you're lucky. Yeah, there's ranged combat there, so attacking with ranged weapons or explosives. If you're in close combat with an enemy, you might need to use close combat instead, rather than even if you're using a ranged weapon. Stealth. You know what? That makes sense. Stealth and agility rather than because I've used an example before. I made a mistake. When attempting to sneak, hide, pick locks, or tail someone, or perform tricks that require sleight of hand, make a stealth test. You may transfer extra successes to people who are attempting the same as you. Failing it means you'll get noticed or exposed. You mainly use scouts in 2 types in situations. The first is when you're travelling. It lets you determine if an area you're about to enter is safe, and it lets you find a good place to stay for the night. You lead the party in a way that minimises risks. The other way to use Scout is to get an overview of your immediate surroundings, or spot threats, or hidden things. For example, a success melee, you see there is a sniper hiding on the rooftop, or spot hidden equipment, sorry, I got Call of Cthulhu in my head. Spot hidden equipment in a building, or notice someone trying to sneak past you, or discover the best way in or out of a fortress. Extra successes can, at the GM's discretion, give a +1 bonus per success to a maximum of 3 on one skill roll where you or somebody else uses that information on that you got. Ooh. A failed roll often means that you do not get any information, but it could also mean that you are not detected, or it could also mean that you are detected by the enemy or end up in a bad situation. Passive rolls. When a hidden threat closes in, the GM can call for a passive scout roll. Each player present may roll to spot the threat, but these ones cannot be pushed. Okie dokie. Survival. Everything you need to know about surviving outside the haven is handled with survival. It lets you know how to set up a camp safely, how to find water, and how to know if the water is potable. Okay. Survival lets you set up traps to catch animals, fish, and hunt, and it represents your knowledge of handling wild animals. For the purpose of the starter set, there are 2 specific ways to use survival. The first is when you scavenge for food and other resources. If you succeed, you get to roll on the scavenging table. Extra successes makes you find 1 ration. It goes into more detail in the core book. Fair enough. Second way is to track people or animals. If the person you follow tries to cover up their tracks, you roll an opposed check. Survival versus survival. Otherwise, you just only need to succeed with the roll. Okay, so I'm guessing compared to before when we had in Alien where it's like opposed rolls, you had to be different kinds of checks. Or maybe we'll come with that with the observation stuff. Tech. Tech is used to repair or build gear or weapons. When you engage in projects to enhance your haven, varying levels of tech will be required to successfully complete them depending on the project. Tech also gives you knowledge about how various types of mechanical and or electrical devices work. Medicine. Medicine lets you use your expertise to help someone who is hurt. Your skill can also provide knowledge about anatomy, diseases, and injuries. It can be used to determine healing time for a wound and what medicine or treatment is required. Find out more on page 21, which we'll go to in a second. So, hang on. I'm guessing then you would use survival then as your go-to observation check or perception checks. There didn't seem to be, there wasn't any perception. Yeah, because it's usually with wits is where you get your observation. That's what you get in an alien. Then anyway, interesting. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're doing okay. Manipulation. When you want to make another person do or think something by lying, bribing, threatening, or coercing, then use manipulation. Play out what you say and do, and state what you want to achieve, then roll the dice. On a success, you get what you want. In difficult situations, you might need more than 1 success. Failure could mean that the other person disagrees with you or even starts disliking you. If you're talking to a group of people, use leadership rather than manipulation. When you're trying to make another PC think or do, roleplay the situation and decide how their PC reacts. They can then ask you to roll manipulation anyway to help them decide what the PC thinks that you're saying. Great, I think that's a good shout because I can see now there's a box saying not mind control. When using manipulation, your goal must be reasonable. You cannot completely alter another person's way of thinking, make someone kill themselves, or turn people against their friends without a good reason. At least not on a single roll. Then we have leadership. When you want to sway a crowd or inspire another person, roll for leadership. Swaying a crowd works similarly to manipulation, but you address a group of people. When you roll for leadership, you cannot get help from other people. Interesting. There can only be 1 leader at a time. When inspiring someone with leadership, each success gives the subject a +1 on a skill roll in one situation within a reasonable amount of time. They can wait to decide which skill roll gets affected until they make use of the inspiration effect. Failed attempt to inspire someone means that you take 1 point of stress. Oh, that's good to know that. So yeah, so if I inspire Jeff to be like, hey, you need to go out there, you need to go look at this house. I believe in you. You take the small team and go. Then if they act on it, they get a +1 to their base dice. But if they don't, be like, I'm fine, I'm good, thanks. You take a point of stress. That's great. I like that. Duels. In the world of the dead, the world of the dead is a dangerous place. So the PCs will almost always end up in combat situations by their own volition or because someone else is out to get them. The rules of this game describe 2 types of combats. Duels for between 2 or few fighters, and brawls for larger battles. These apply to violent encounters between living creatures, be they PCs, NPCs, or animals. Fights against walkers are handled differently and are described starting on page 30. So, the most basic way of fighting is that you're up against one other living opponent, either with guns, knives, or your bare hands. It's handled as a simple opposed roll. The fighter with the most successes wins, and they inflict damage on the other fighter equal to their own weapon's damage rating. Should you or another enemy get an equal amount of successes on your roll, you will hit each other simultaneously, inflicting damage on each other. If both fail the roll, then neither of you do damage. If you roll extra successes on what is needed to win the roll, it can increase the damage by 1 point. So to break it down a little bit, we've got weapon bonus, so when you use a weapon, you add a number of dice equal to the gear bonus. Help, if someone's helping you attack and maybe distract, you maybe have an extra die. The fight continues. If you're still standing after the opposed roll, you may attack each other again. Abstract rules. Many rules in this book are abstract. They will not always give you an exact outcome. What happens must be interpreted by the GM and the players together to decide what the course of action will take. If, for example, you are hiding behind a stone pillar to avoid getting shot, and the shooter still hits you, it does not mean that the bullet has gone through the stone pillar. Probably the attacker has moved around the pillar to get a clear shot. Another example is that if you try to stab a walker in the head but fail, it does not necessarily mean you do not hit. Maybe you stab it in the chest, or if you've hacked it in the head but not hard enough to kill it. Nice. Yeah, always move the story forward. And there's a little table there about the opposed rules. Then we've got stuff on range. We don't need to talk about range too much. You know, we get it short, long, and then extreme. Cover. Remove one success from your enemy's dice roll before comparing comparing the results. Nice. Defenseless target. Should you attack someone who is unaware, it is not an opposed roll. You simply just need to succeed on the roll to hit, and each success beyond that increases the damage by 1 point. Movement. Let's see. In the cases where you cannot or won't shoot back, you can instead try to seek cover. If you manage to find cover, you do so before the attacker's roll is made. Okay, interesting. That is, instead of counterattacking. Sorry, I'll read it through, sorry. In some situations, you may focus on avoiding getting hit or fleeing the fight instead of counterattacking. In a case where you can't or won't shoot or fight back, you can instead try to seek cover or reduce and increase the distance between an enemy by one category, but not both. Both of these actions require a straight mobility roll to succeed. If you manage to find cover above, you do so before the attack rolls against you are made, whilst the effects of range change after are applied after the attacks. Okay, great. If multiple fighters gang up on a single enemy, the lone fighter must then decide who to roll an opposed roll against. The lone fighter is then considered a defenseless target against the other opponent, and all attacks happen simultaneously. Describing the action. The GM should describe what's happening to make the scene come alive. Describe the pouring of rain and mud where the PCs are wrestling, detailing the excruciating sound of a spear tearing through someone's stomach. Let the street be full of familiar detritus from the old world, and add strange road signs left by some unknown survivor. When you make a skill roll to attack someone, this doesn't necessarily mean you just make a single attack. It could represent a whole series of actions. For example, it can mean that you fire multiple shots at an enemy to keep them pinned down, or that you charge towards your opponent and struggle with them until you manage to shoot them at point blank range. A failed attack does not necessarily mean that you miss your shot. It could, for example, hit your enemy but only inflicts a minor wound that does not cause them to lose hit points. Oh, hello, Crafty Gobber. Hope you're well. Love me some zombies. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we're going through the starter set rules of the Walking Dead universe role-playing game. So far, it feels very similar to the Alien role-playing games, a little bit more streamlined in places. So you've not missed much, but glad you're here, my friend. Messing up. Oh, remember that. In combat, this means that you've made noise and attracted walkers. The GM raises the threat level by 1 or informs someone that a walker is straight up attacking them. Messing up means that you could also run out of ammunition or do something that helps your opponent. Perhaps you can even accidentally shoot your friend. The GM should decide something that is plausible, or they could simply roll on the messing up table in combat for inspiration. Here we go here. Oh, it's only a d6 as well. So you're either out of weapon or your weapon breaks. Ooh. You hurt yourself. 1 damage. Friendly fire. Attract walkers. Overall situation gets worse. Oh, the house collapse. Just throw a house at them. Bad positioning, and then an opponent gets success on the next roll. Interesting. Again, in Alien, when you have the panicking table, you have up to, I think, 13. This is 13 because I guess your stress level goes up, and then it's a panic roll and all that sort of things. So slightly different here. Messing up is a bit more abstract. So I guess it's not about you, the individual, reacting per se. It is the environment reacting to you. That's probably the difference as well. Yes, hello and welcome to Many Zombies. Yes, indeed. Brawls. When several people are involved in a fight and the situation is complicated and intense, you may use the rules for brawls. All the rules for range, movement, and defense targets and duels also apply here. Fine. So this is where we have a map displaying the area. Okay, note on the map where everyone is at the start of combat. Decides if anyone starts out in cover, and say things about the distance between enemies like short, long, and extreme. Brawls are divided into rounds, and each round everyone gets 1 action. Interesting, because I think before it was just like a 1 opposed roll, and that was it for the duels, right? Besides the single action, you may also do you may also do quick and simple things such as shouting a few words, picking up a gun, drawing your knife from a sheath, and pressing a button. The brawl ends whenever the story calls for it. It could be because all the enemies are dead, have given up or run away, or because you've been defeated. In a brawl, actions are divided into 6 categories, resolved in the phases numbering 1 to 6. During each round, the GM will call out each phase, and then all NPCs and PCs wanting to perform their action in that phase declare it. The NPCs declare first, and then the PCs. Choose an action should be done quickly. If a player can't decide, the GM should tell them that there is no time to ponder. Lingering further means the PC takes 1 point of stress. If the player's inability to decide is a result of the player not knowing the rules, the game should be paused and the rules should be explained. No player should be punished for not knowing the rules. No, obviously. So it comes first by going, the first phase is taking cover, then it's range combat, then it's close combat, then it's movement, then it's first aid, and then something other. It's going to tell us all here. Taking cover, so roll mobility, agility, mobility. If you succeed, you're in cover immediately. And ranged weapons require 1 more success to hit you than normal when you're in cover. If you fail the roll, finding cover takes time and you are not considered to be in covered until the round has ended. Oh, I like that. So you still managed to get there, but not enough. Then we have ranged combat. The NPC states the targets first, and then the PC selects theirs. It then starts resolving skill rolls. When situations where 2 people firing at each other. Start with situations where 2 people are firing at each other. This is handled by an opposed roll, as in the duel, and when that is done, resolve any situation where someone shoots at a person who does not shoot back, resolving as a straight roll. Overwatch. Overwatch is a ranged combat action that may be used to secure a certain area of the map. If anyone moves into this area, you are ready to shoot them. So this is a talent as well, I think, certainly in the Alien game. This means you may fire into the movement phase. It means that you can fire into the movement phase of the round. However, no one moves into the area and you end up essentially doing nothing that round. So interesting, again, I completely missed this. So in Alien, and I think in Blade Runner as well, it's all card based. Vassan does it as well, I think, cards. And that's your order in the initiative, so you know where you're going in the initiative, whereas here it's about the action you do. That's more important, and that determines where you're going in the initiative. A little bit different. The Land of Eam does that as well, which is a fantastic RPG. It's very much like Adventure Time, would recommend that. They've just finished fulfilling their Kickstarter. Really good, really like it. Close combat, that should be obvious. First, everyone states who they attack, and then skill rolls are resolved starting with opposed rolls. Cover does not apply. Yep. Movement, makes sense, roll mobility. First aid, you give first aid to below with anyone within short distance. You cannot give first aid to yourself. Oh, very good. And other, if you want to barricade a door, hotwire a car, or set up explosives, get the radio working, or attempt any other action that is not covered above, this is the other action. I think I would clarify with the GM before the start. So like, okay, this is what I want to do. Would this come under other? I think that's the important thing. Leadership. In a brawl, you may bark orders to roll for leadership instead of taking another action. You can give orders at any time in the round, but bonus dice from your roll can only be used in the same round. If others do as you tell them to, you may hand out bonus dice, one for each success you get. You may split them up amongst several different people or give them all to a single character, but never more than 3 dice to a single person. When you roll leadership, you cannot gain the help from others. It's not possible to have 2 people on the same side rolling leadership in the same instant as combat. Yeah, you don't want to metagame that stuff, do you? Okay, so we said before, all characters in this game have 3 health points. Take 1 damage, you lose 1 health point. You lose all 3, you are broken. You recover naturally 1 point of health each day as long as you're able to consume 1 ration of food. If you don't have any food, you cannot heal. When you've accumulated 3 or more points of damage, you are broken. This means you are down, you cannot do anything meaningful. You may say some words or crawl behind the nearest bit of cover, but you cannot walk. As soon as the character is broken, they take 1 stress and must roll on the critical injuries table on page 25. Also, all skill rolls automatically fail while you're broken. Taking more than 3 damage from a single attack does not have any extra effect. A broken person who gets injured again dies. Attacking a broken person requires a normal skill roll, so you get no advantage for them being on the floor. When you are broken, someone else can give you first aid. This requires a medicine roll, so that's a wits medicine roll. It only takes a couple seconds of in-game time. The roll is successful, you get back on your feet. You still suffer the critical injury, but you are not broken anymore, and you regain 1 hit point, or health point, sorry. Each additional success on a medicine roll heals an additional health point. Oh, nice. If there is no one to give you first aid, or if they fail the skill roll, you are broken for D6 minutes. The GM makes the roll in secret. After the allotted time has passed, you heal 1 hit point, but you're still critically in. Okay. Armor. Wearing armor may protect you from damage. It also makes you less agile. Armor gives you an armor level, and when hit by an attack, roll a number of dice equal to the armor rating. Each success reduces the damage by 1. On the other hand, the armor's penalty value is the number of dice you need to subtract from any mobility roll whilst wearing it. Cool. So not only can it absorb a couple of hit damages, certainly if you're squishy, but you're not going to be as good at stealthing or running because you've got the heavy armor. That makes total sense. Similar to how Overwatch works in the XCOM games, you're gambling that an enemy will walk into range, view that turn to get an immediate attack on them when they do, rather than using the action to do other things. Agree, AJ, agreed. It's in the Alien, it talks about using it down a corridor and using it to defend your space as well. Right. Critical injury is what we're doing on time. Okay, we'll go for another 10 minutes. We'll see how far we get, because I do want to see what the walker threat level is. When you are broken, you suffer a critical injury, and all critical injuries give you a penalty. So long as the injury remains, a number of dice are subtracted from all skill rolls you make. I thought they failed automatically. Is that what it said? You cannot walk. All skill rolls fail automatically when you're broken. So it wouldn't matter if you had a number of dice. Oh, I guess no. If you're broken, sorry, that's right. If you're broken, then it will fail. But if you're up but still have a critical injury, yeah, 2 different states. Sorry. If you have more than 1 critical injury, the penalties from each are cumulative. Some critical injuries are lethal, meaning that they will kill you after a certain amount of time unless you stabilize before running out. This limit is decided by rolling a dice, indicating the number of minutes, hours, or days you have left, as specified for each injury. The GM rolls this secretly. I'd put it out there. I think it's more interesting. They know there's a time. They know there's a deadline. That's a little bit easier. If someone attempts to stabilize you and succeeds at a roll, before the time runs out, you survive. It also states what kind of medical equipment is necessary to help you out, either B for basic or A for advanced. Advanced can be used in both cases. Without the right equipment, there's nothing that can be done. Recovery time. Each critical injury in the table is on the next page, has a listed recovery time, indicating how long it will take to either heal the damage or adjust to it. If you won't, for example, heal a destroyed eye. But sorry, I did that as if like, oh, I know what that refers to. But you can adjust to the impairment and learn to function with only one die. The GM rolls a die for recovery time secretly. You won't know how long it takes. No, I tell them. I don't hide that sort of stuff for them. Yada yada yada. In fact, I get it with the failed roll. Yeah. Oh, messing up with stabilizing? Okay. Ah, here we go, the critical injuries table. Let's have a quick look-see. So, yeah. A lot of this looks similar to the alien one. So, yeah, we've got winded. I know that's the alien one as well. Knocked out teeth. Ripped off ear. Ooh. Let's see what else we got there. So, B for basic. Deep flesh wound. Oh, you see the penalty on this side as well. I see. A coma. Oh. Cannot act. Ruptured aorta. Impaled heart. Ah. So you only have 4 critically... Yeah, so, sorry. You have... These are lethal ones from 31 onwards. So, damage throat. These are all lethal. And they have a time limit. And then, obviously, recovery stuff. And then you just have... you then just have 4, which are bad. So, crushed body, disembowelment, pierced head, impaled heart, where you just die. Again, interesting, it's different to the alien one, which talks about, like, your end is here. Death is upon you. Playing it in NPC? Nah. Relieving stress. Ah, yes, let's see how we can do that. So if you relieve stress through social interaction, meeting your anchor, and rest. You cannot relieve stress if you're in immediate danger. It is, for example, not possible to relieve stress in the middle of a fight. Ah, rubbish. Several PCs can relieve stress at the same time. You don't have to announce it before. If you want to relieve stress, just play out the scene and then tell the GM that you were relieving stress. Fair enough. Social interaction could be short, maybe a couple of sentences to clear one's head. It could mean, for example, kissing in the backseat of a car, discussing a strange tension in the haven, talking about baseball in the watchtower, or getting a beer together. You can relieve stress in this way. You cannot do it again until you've suffered more stress. I guess my only stipulation I'd do for this rule is that you can't talk about zombies. You can't talk about the apocalypse. There's a game called, or an app called Zombies Run, which I know is not various things with that company in general. Not great at the moment. But one thing I love is that one of the radio show modes, they try and do like a just a minute, and their thing is that you can't do repetition, deviation, hesitation, all that sort of thing about subjects, but you also can't mention zombies as well. Just a zom, I think it's called, which made me laugh. And then you've got meeting your anchor. You relieve all stress if you spend an hour or more with one of your anchors. That's pretty good, and it can be done once per session. It's a bit like your memento, your special item that you have in Alien. So I appreciate it. I'm always comparing it to Alien, but that's the one I know the most. Cool. Other hazards. Okay, we don't need to go into this too much detail. I assume it's going to be similar. You get explosions, so again, the blast power. So what this means, if you, say, for example, throw the Molotov cocktail and it explodes, it's got a blast power of 6, so you roll 6d6, and then for every success you get, that equals 1 damage. Interesting, a failed roll means you hit the wrong location and targets escape the damage. Nice. It's very cool. And it can't be pushed. That totally makes sense. Fire, same thing, it has the intensity thing. So again, like you roll that many, if it's like burning room, you roll 8d6, and then any successes equals 1 point of damage. Interesting enough, armor doesn't protect you, it says here. So that's quite good. Falling. Armor doesn't protect you. Amazing. Inflicts damage equal to the height in meters divided by 2 rounded down. Okay, say it was 10 meters divided by 2 is 5. That would be 5 damage. Oof, god, yeah, if you fell 10 meters, then you're dead. I just assume. Hungry and tired, aren't we all? For each day you starve, make an endure roll. If you fail, you take 1 point of stress. Can't be relieved until you consume 2 rations per day for as many days as you starved and reached a haven. If you have 5 or more stress, you instead start to take 1 damage per day. This damage cannot be healed until you consume rations you missed. When you push your body beyond its limitations, for example by walking or working all day or night, make an endure roll. If you fail, you take 1 point of stress. Damn. That's pretty brutal, huh? And they've got stuff like gear. Encumbrance slots. Oh, I really hate encumbrance slots. I just so much. If you don't have it on you, I guess it makes sense for this game. But if you don't have it on you, it's not there. But it's the same with Alien. If you've got a strength, it's always equal to your strength plus something. And then if you've got a really heavy weapon, it takes up one big slot rather than two small slots. Yeah. And some examples of gear here. So, for example, basic medical gear. So when I'm doing a medicine roll, it'll add 1+1 base dice to the roll. Ammunition. The game doesn't have a granular system for tracking ammunition, which is good because no one wants to do that. If you have a gun, you probably have some ammo, but running out of ammo and running to find some more is an important part of the game's world. So thematically resonant. So there are two thematically resonant ways that our ammo scarcity can happen. So it could introduce it as a challenge, for example, by setting a scene where the NPC has counted the bullets in your storage and warns you that you're about to run out. Another way as a result of a messing up skill roll is when you roll a ranged combat. Yeah, I like that because that's always like thematically that you've just run out, just when you need it to. Oh, some weapon tables. Oh, look, you get the oh shit, he's got a name. Not called Clarice, is it? It's called Mirabelle. I can't remember the name of the what's he called? I can just picture him in my mind and it's just awful. I hate it. I remember reading the comics on that one. Alright, well let's do Fighting the Dead. I might have to call it unfortunately because I forgot. Midnight is a thing. Let me just check. Oh, checking. Okay. Whenever you're in a room, in a world of the dead, swarms of walkers are a constant threat. You might be temporarily safe, but the walkers are always out there, hungry for flesh. This section describes the threat in detail and about how you can survive back. Walkers' skills, attributes, help. Sorry, brain's gone a bit dead. So let's talk about the threat level. The walkers don't have skills, attributes, or health points, or any other mechanical characteristics. The GM should describe them in a creatively gory way, whilst also reminding you that they were once human and living. The constant threat from walkers is measured by the threat levels, going from a scale of 0 to 6, indicating both how active they are in the area and how close they are. Okay, swarm size. Wow, you see that? Swarm size 6 is 1,000 plus. That's scary. So, setting that threat level. When a scene starts, the GM sets the threat level according to the situation. It measures the undead threats in the immediately surrounding area that may just be changed from one room to the next. If the situation in the game changes, the threat level changes accordingly. Ah, here we go. So I guess the number of walkers, that swarm size, maybe is directly linked to but here's the threat level situation. There are walkers around, but none of them have noticed you. And they always go to the dead are in your face around. Incredible. I like that as a description. Increasing the threat level. Threat level can be increased in 4 ways. Rolling a walker on a stress die and messing up. Failing a skill roll to avoid walkers. Facing a group of walkers that have been placed in a location beforehand by the GM. Or doing something in the game that attracts walkers, such as making noise. In situations where increasing the stress in the threat level seems illogical or not inappropriate, the GM may instead do one of the following things. Let a PC or NPC suffer a single walker attack, or increase the swarm size up by 1 step. Oh. And if the PCs split up, they'll have its separate threat levels for each group. GM has final say. Fair enough. Cool. I'm going to leave it there, chaps, if that's okay. Just because it's a little bit late and I appreciate other people are around and stuff. So there's a little bit more about the walkers and stuff, and some walker attacks as well. So that's really great. And then running the game as well. So there you go. That is the main, well, a bit of the main bulk on Walking Dead. I'm really keen to read more, so I'm really excited about that. And I think I'd love to be able to run this session as well. And yeah, I think there's just a lot here to do it, so I appreciate it. Keep going. I have so many more cans to sort in my cupboards. What are you doing, Liz? Unfortunately, I do have to go to bed. I've got to go up in the morning. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you folks are interested in any more stuff, I'm hoping to do some more in future. If you want to find your own copy of if you want own copy of the Walking Dead game, you can get it on. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. You can get your own copy on the Free League website. I've put a link to it in the chat. If you're interested in knowing more about Where, which is my podcast, that's what am I rolling, go check it out there. And the Discord is in there as well. Maybe I've got to put that. If you want to check out more and just chat to us about stuff, it's all good. I can see you there. Thanks, this has been delightful company. Thank you, Fiona and chat. Well, thank you, Liz. I hope you managed to get those cupboards out. If you got those tins, that might be helpful in the apocalypse as well. So, not a problem. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you being here tonight, and I appreciate we'll probably come back at another point. Sorry for the abrupt ending. To go deal something. But I'll speak to you in a little bit. Bye-bye. 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 Try to find the end of the stream. Bye-bye.